Do you think that amorphous silicon, and I really mean amorphous silicon, not a micromorphous tandem, still has a chance to survive in the main market if amorphous silicon will not go beyond 7% efficiency, I think. Do you think it still has a chance to survive, and if what costs or manufacturing costs are necessary to survive?
Right, that's a very good question. So by amorphous silicon, you mean single junction or double junction?
Or a double junction, but only amorphous.
Yeah, so without the micromorph layer.
Yeah. So maximum 7% efficiency.
Right. So we did a lot of analysis on that issue, looking at where module prices would be, or crystalline silicon module prices would be in, say, 5 years. You can do that at least from a cost-based perspective. Okay, if not from a market perspective, it's more difficult. You can do it from both angles, but once you do that, once you have a view on what crystalline silicon module pricing will be, thin film has and in the near future will remain a price taker, in the sense that its prices are going to be a function of the dominant technology. So if you look at the efficiencies of different technologies, and if you look at crystalline silicon prices, what we found is that amorphous silicon, single junction amorphous silicon, even if you are generous and assume that you could get up to 8%. No one has done 8% so far. The best manufacturer is at 7%, but there are R&D initiatives to actually get to 8% in commercial production, and we think there is a fair chance that it could happen by 2013. Still, single junction amorphous silicon would have to be about 60 cents or maybe a little less. And we think that there are only a few companies in the world today that could do that. So I would say for the most part, the answer is no, which is why that's one of the conclusions of the report, that for most part, single junction amorphous silicon would more or less be challenged, competitively going forward. So for us, we have a strong point of view that the future of amorphous silicon lies in tandem junction, and the first movers in commercializing tandem junction, and which is why we're positive about Oerlikon, because they had taken the lead in actually commercializing tandem as opposed to single junction. These are the companies, the amorphous silicon companies, that will have that really hold the torch of the future.
Do you have anything you'd like to add?
Yeah,
you guys have been through the thought process, I guess, fairly extensively.
Sure. Yeah, and I agree with a lot of what Shyam said there. I think in terms of the limit of the efficiency, I think it does have potential to go beyond 8%. We measured a world record with NREL last year, where we had achieved on a cell level stabilized efficiencies for single junction amorphous above 10%. I think it's going to face obviously more challenges than the micromorphous technology in the short term. And I think what you might see is that in some regions, particularly if you have very high temperature profiles, that single junction amorphous might be still a very attractive technology solution. Typically, single junction amorphous has a temperature coefficient of about 0.2% relative to 0.5 for crystalline. So it can actually yield incredibly well compared to crystalline for utility scale applications in high temperature regions. One other market, which is still a very small market today, and we'll have to see how that develops. The BIPV market, single junction amorphous, is potentially quite attractive for this market relative to other types of thin film, because it's a bit easier to play with that technology to make it semi-transparent, to color it, and these are sort of key criteria for some of the building integrated applications. But in general, I agree with what Shyam said. I think, and we see this from the market pull. The most interest we have today, and it's been this way for the last 12 months or more, is for the tandem technology, and I think that's really where we're going to see the thin film silicon develop.